Hello, I'm Rex Butterfield and welcome to a video about my Quilcom SIM-F. The F of course stands for fiddle, and the synthesizer aiming to make something like a fiddle or violin sound uses only synthesizer techniques and no samples. So a quick overview: you have the preset manager at the top. This large panel here concerns the sound generation and articulation. We have the effects in this row here, the general panel, volume, and also you can record sounds, individual sounds or short clips on the recorder. As usual, I've provided a detailed user guide which goes into much greater detail than I will here, and also there's lots of background info about violins and simulating violins and so on. There are several synthesizer methods used under the hood. For instance, we've got wavetable, FM, additive, formant modes, resonant modes, and so on. But the most important ones for shaping the sound are actually on the front panel, so I'll go through those now. So the basic waveform used for the strings can be selected here, and we have 4 wavetables that I made and 9 single cycle waves. The wavetables sound a bit better, but the single cycle waves use less CPU, and we just select them here. And so on. So there's a good variety of waveforms available there. Bowing can be changed to pizzicato or plucking. So bowing you just heard. So that's pizzicato. I mean, a lot of things change, not just the envelope, but a lot of things change internally when you operate that switch. Solo violin produces a little bit of surface noise as the bow goes across the string. So if I just turn the envelope down, turn the mix down, we can hear that sound. I'll just turn the volume up so you can hear it a bit better. So with this mix we can mix between the sound of the string and the surface noise. And we can also use the volume envelope to alter that mix. It modulates the mix amount. Now, when you mic up a violin, if you're a distance away from it, you won't hear that surface noise because it's a low level and it's quite a high frequency. So keep that in mind. It will affect the apparent distance you are from the fiddle or violin. So, as with all acoustic instruments, the strings vibrate and you don't hear the strings. What you hear is the sound box vibrating to amplify the vibration from the strings, which goes through the bridge. And it's important for perceiving the type of instrument that the resonances are appropriate for that type of instrument. To shape the timbre of the instrument, we have a simple tone system here, which is operates like a bandpass filter, where you can set the low end and high end, and then we have single value formants, which produce peaks in the response curve, and then we have modes which simulate parts of the violin that vibrate at more than one frequency, typically the fundamental and integer multiples of that fundamental. The tone control feeds the input to the formant and mode generators, and the formants and modes are connected in parallel, and here you can set the on the mixer you can set the level of the raw string sound, the formants and the modes together, and all of this gives you a tremendous range of sounds. So you can experiment with that and produce all sorts of timbres. Most of them unrealistic, I must say, but quite interesting to play around with. Just to give you some idea of the kind of changes of the sound you can achieve here, this is the tone. These two controls do provide some interaction for creating the sound. So now I've turned the raw string down and the modes down and the formant level up. So that's the formants. And these are the modes. Then if I turn the formants up, and the raw string sound up. Now a violin, especially when played in a classical style, is a very expressive instrument, and expression is probably one of the more important aspects. So here, if you want to use a controller, I've set CC number 1 there for the mod wheel. You can set a minimum volume level, and then I'm using the mod wheel now to change the expression. And you can switch the controller to velocity. So you've got two possibilities there for adding expression. Another very important aspect of especially classical playing, not so much fiddling, but is vibrato. So this is set for delayed vibrato. You set the delay time and the amount and the basic speed there. And we can also use the mod wheel or aftertouch. So I'll use aftertouch. The mod wheel, if I just operate in the mod wheel. And at higher amounts of vibrato, the frequency increases slightly, which simulates what real classical musicians appear to do from the videos I've watched. You may not notice it there, but the speed increases slightly at higher levels. Now you may have noticed there I'm using the mod wheel to bring in vibrato and also for expression, so at lower levels of expression you get less vibrato. Hardly visible, hardly audible, I should say. Now I kept the auto ornament system in, which first appeared on my SIM-W tin whistle emulator. Probably not so much use for a violin, but I have changed things a little bit. So if I turn that on, when you play harder than the velocity threshold here, it will play a random ornament from the range of variety that you've set there. So the fourth note will be played harder for an ornament. Okay, so tend not to hear that so much in Irish fiddle music, but you've got it anyway. Now, portamento, or gliding or sliding between notes, is possible. I tried a polyphonic system, but it sounded dreadful, so we need to switch to one string, and then this becomes available, the portamento system here. So we can set a rate, and at a low velocity we'll get a glide. Okay, there are the modes there: static, velocity to glide, and so on. If you're interested in producing that effect, there's a lot more detail in the user guide, and you can also set an external controller to control the time should you wish. Now briefly with the effects, I made what I've called a widener, which is a sort of chorus specifically designed for this instrument. There's Martin Vickerneck's excellent chorus. And then there's a delay system where you can set echo, chorus, or even flanging, should you wish to. And at the end of the chain is Martin Vickerneck's excellent M-verb 7B. Of course, you don't have to use any of these effects. If you turn them off, you can use your favourite external effects in your DAW. Now, of course, it's a synthesizer, so we can take some liberties with the type of sounds that we can produce with it. So, for instance, we can set it all up to create a more brassy sort of sound. The SIM-F was intended to be played as a solo instrument, but by judicious settings of wider, chorus, delay and the performance, etc., we can make something that sounds a bit like a violin section, especially if we use the expression to control the volume and tone. So there you go. I think that will do for now. I shall play you out at the end of the video with another piece of traditional Irish music, and I'll say please read the manual for all the user guide for all the bits and pieces, all the background and more information. And so until the next time, bye.